Tangent over. So this is one that I have not seen covered anywhere else. I have no reason to distrust this source. It's the Jacksonville, Florida Times Union or whatever. Like, it didn't really bring up any red flags. Now I do have it going through archive.org, because paywall.
Yeah.
This gets you around the paywall, and I'm pretty sure it's legal.
We
Don't-
think.
Don't sue me, the Florida Times Union. But anyway, I'm kind of surprised that this story isn't getting as much coverage as it is. Maybe it's because this is actually something that's not new. So Florida asked student athletes about their periods and why some find it shocking post-row. I mean, like, if you can't figure out why some find it shocking post-row, then
Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
how to help you.
Can we ask you about when your last period was? Oh, it was a couple weeks late. That's weird. Let's do more invasive searches into every bit of medical things and anything you've done ever. Have you bought a pill online recently? How's your history with buying coat hangers?
God. So the student athletes have to report all their medical conditions like seizures, fainting spells, allergies, and everything whenever they register to play sports for a season. Now, note on this. So apparently they've been asking for so female athletes are also asked for their history of menstrual periods. So like when they got their first period, how many weeks passed between their periods, and when they had their last one, and a bunch of other information. This is not new. Apparently this has been going on for about 20 years now. Now, the thing is, I understand that sometimes there are medical conditions where if you're going to be taking part in a sport, they need to be aware of those medical conditions and what to do if you are in a medical emergency, what sort of equipment you might have on you, what sort of modifications you might need to do to the program in order to not have a medical emergency. That's important stuff to know. You know how my school board deals with it? They send a paper home saying, does your student have any of these common medical problems that might have something might affect sports? Yes, no. And you just and it's nothing about periods, because I don't know why that would even be relevant. But like, and then at the end it's just like, is there anything else that we should know about?
But Rhino, they've never had a problem with it in the past, just like the bathtubs.
Oh, yeah.
There's never been an issue in the past at all. Why would you, a Karen, bring up that information now? Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like they don't need, like, I just get the paper asking, like, here, like, tell me any medical conditions we might need to know about. Periods aren't on there, but like all the other stuff is, and it's just like, yes, no. That's fine. Apparently the issue that a lot of people are having is that now it's digital, which, yeah, there could be some privacy concerns with that, but generally speaking, that wouldn't really raise my hackles all that much. I actually prefer, like, my kids.
It's as invasive in digital form as it is in paper form.
It's just like easier to search in digital form.
Yeah. But no, it just seems kind of. So one, it seems like something that was never relevant for people to know in the first place. Like, if you're, a lot of military families are in Florida. As a military kid who grew up in Florida, there's a shit ton of them. Most kids are on some form of TRICARE or something. There's a primary care physician involved in some way. The school doesn't need that information. There's already medical professionals who are involved in this kid's life in some way, shape, or form. They don't need this type of invasive information, especially when half that information wouldn't give them anything of use outside of figuring out things like what their buying history has been in regards to potential abortions or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The Lord of Uzkulak says periods could only be relevant for pool sports, maybe, but even then asking about it is an invasion of privacy. It's like, no, I don't think that's even relevant, because like there are products that, like, feminine hygiene products that you can swim with,
to a pool,
and it's fine.
Yeah.
So they don't need to know.
We have the technology. none of that information is anybody's business but the person whose body it is.
Yeah. And maybe their doctor. So, yeah, and so all of these forms are, like, they make a note here, they are subject to subpoena. So, like, if someone accuses them of having an illegal abortion, then the government could potentially subpoena their athletic records, or their medical forms from their athletic records.
Can you imagine? So I know that, like, to an extent, police officers and other professionals, to an extent, they have some jurisdiction on the cases that they actually will pursue. Not to a great degree, but you're a little flexible. You can choose whether or not you give that speeding ticket. Can you imagine being the person that makes the conscious decision, I'm going to go after this minor for having an abortion. I think this, say, 14-year-old needed to have that baby. Like, can you imagine the thought process that is required to consciously make that decision?
Have you heard the Matt Walsh clip yet that's been going around?
So I have it sitting in my my queue of things I'm supposed to go over either today or tomorrow. I have made a point not to listen to it yet because I want to do that live.
Okay, I won't spoil it for you, but it's a doozy.
I've
Although
heard.
I am very amused by this. I didn't have any Matt Walsh tweets for this, but like when he tweets now, there's just a barrage of people replying with a link to that clip and calling him a groomer, because that's basically what it is.
I mean, that's literally. So I know from seeing those tweets that it has something to do with him saying that, like, there was a time where the peak time to get pregnant was 16. And
oh no, he doesn't say there was a time. Like, he says that in the past that was the norm, but he still advocates for now being the time when that should be.
Oh, so he's just being Nick Fuentes again.
Basically, yeah.
Because do you remember when that clip went around when Nick Fuentes was defending Matt Gaetz?
No, I don't remember that, but I know enough about Nick Fuentes to know where he probably stands on the issue.
His position was, the most conservative position would be to allow child marriage. That's based.
I did hear that. I remember that now. Yes.
It's like there's a trauma response to it. Your brain just goes in the repression closet.
But they
go away.
That's the thing. It's like these people call anyone who's like, oh well, like, I want my kids to be comfortable knowing that LGBTQ people exist, and they'll be like, oh, you're a groomer. It's like, no, that's just like, it's relationship dynamics and just people existing. Like that's all that is. But then, like, anytime in the States where, like, I forget the exact number, I think it's 44, 42, somewhere, like, there's north of 40 states allow child marriage. And every time a bill is put forward that's like, hey, let's not allow child marriage anymore, the people that vote against it 100% of the time, it's Republicans. The people that are accusing us of being groomers for saying, I want my kids to understand that people exist and they're not always the same as everybody else.
So there's an interesting, like, obviously we can make the quick and dirty, like, hey, it's projection. Look at that. Like, every accusation from someone on that side is likely some kind of a confession. There is that, like, quick and dirty way you can go about that. Another fun one is to go at it looking at data. So there was a proclivity on and wherever you stand on this, characters in anime being shown, like, very young. There's a lot of people who have very, very strong opinions on that. There's a document in an archive that I have sitting up that somebody threw at me, where it's just like every single time somebody accused someone of being a child predator on Twitter, directly under it was like some point in time where they got caught actually abusing a child. And it was like every single time someone was like a staunch advocate in the way that you see most Republicans do when they're screaming groomer, groomer, groomer.
Yeah.
Just every single time you'd go to the next tweet and it was something showing them having done just that. You're like, maybe speak less. Maybe speak less.
Yeah, it's wild. And I don't know, it just, It's one of those things where I feel like us pointing out that like, hey, no, this thing that you're accusing us of, that's actually you, and like bringing all the receipts. In my mind, it's like, why does that not convince people that these people are just complete and utter dog shit? Like Herschel Walker's son comes out and just verbally eviscerates him and talks about how his family life was with Herschel Walker as a father. And then all these Republicans are like, oh, well, no, Herschel Walker is the family man. You can't trust what his family says about him being a family man. He's actually the family man. Like,
we also get stuff about Herschel Walker aiming a gun at one of his exes straight at her head. And he's just like, no, you guys don't understand. I have DID. That's the problem. And like, no. You don't get to say you're a mental health advocate and then blame.
Yeah, no,
like,
that means you get treatment, not you run for office. And like, if the treatment gets you to a mental place where it is now safe for you to run for office, go for it. But like, go for the mental treatment first.
Yeah, I went and I covered the Herschel Walker thing earlier today. And I don't get me wrong, his son is a piece of garbage human being.
Oh, is he really?
Because have you never seen the types of things that he says?
No, this is the first I've ever heard from.
Think of a young Milo in Indianapolis.
Oh,
that's
right. Does Milo still exist?
He is running with Marjorie Taylor Greene. He is an intern under her.
He's an intern?
He's an intern under Marjorie in my district.
Oh God! But he's an intern.
He's an intern. He's
an
unpaid intern.
Isn't he a bit old for interning?
Isn't he a bit stupid for it?
Well, yeah, but look who he's working for. I imagine he's smarter than Marjorie.
I think his entire thing is trying to get any crumb of notoriety.
Well, yeah,
after he's
probably the perfect example of someone that actually was successfully canceled.
Yeah, him and Richard Spencer too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Exactly. But no,
it's making me so happy to know that like I forgot about these people.
But no, Christian Walker is he makes me think of a less intelligent Milo in Indianapolis. He runs a Christian fundamentalist TikTok under his name. Not a thing to get into in this video, obviously, but you should take some time to peruse it when you're having a good mental health day, just so you can ruin
just
it.
So I can. It's like, my mental health is too good today. Let's take that down a notch.
Yeah. Marissa in my chat just went, imagine a yandere version of Milo. Yeah, that's accurate, sadly.
Anyway, back to the news article. Abortion rights advocates who stress reproductive privacy in the wake of the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade worry that women's menstrual history may be used to prosecute them if they terminate a pregnancy.
May?
Yeah? You will. Like
there's a reason why people have been arguing against using menstrual tracking apps for the last 3 months.
Yeah. And they're like pediatricians are against this. Like the pediatricians are saying there's no reason for the schools to have this information. So if the doctors in charge of children's health are saying that like no, schools don't need to know when their periods are for sports, then I'm going to trust that over the coaches that are saying no, we need to make sure all the girls on the team are actually girls.
We need to make sure that we've thoroughly inspected their genitalia. I am not a groomer.
I mean, if push comes to shove, at least this is less invasive than an actual genitalia inspection.
No, it's as invasive, but in a different direction. Because instead of being direct and traumatizing, it can be used against you in legal counsel.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Just as bad in a different direction.
Yeah. Anyway, so the person who's like vocally opposing this says he has very little reason to have faith in our state leadership. to keep the data provided to educational institutions private. I thought that was funny because DeSantis has been in the news a lot recently. So to have someone in Florida being like, "Yeah, I don't have faith in our state leadership," like,
Yeah, that'd be great.
yeah,
I know that there's a bunch of talk about him running in 2024, and I hope he doesn't, because shit like the Martha's Vineyard incident that he's trying to recreate again multiple times, which he's gone on record to say. I sincerely hope that that type of stuff will not be used for the MAGA crowd to go, aha, that's our man. If we can't get Trump, it's going to be him. Like, can we get none of you? Like, literally
ideally,
none of you.
Yeah, ideally, that would be best. Okay.
The Democrats may not be wonderful, but they are better than the alternative.
Yep, that they are. Slow progress is better than regress. Hands down,
Yeah.
every time.
Don't worry, there's still going to be at least one person that goes, but why should I vote?
Oh fuck! I just watched the episode of The Simpsons with the kids where Bart runs for class president, and then everybody loves Bart, but Martin wins because nobody actually voted. So like the two people that did vote were like Martin and his friend. So it's like, yeah, that's why you vote. Your vote matters.
I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene got in by default, so
you know what? I like the nickname that I think it was Eli on Scathing Atheist. I like the nickname they gave her. It was Madge Taj Gadge.
Madge Taj Gadge.
Madge Taj Gadge.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
Midge Tidge Gidge.
That's just the same thing, but with different.
Yeah, no, I think they had a poll and Madge Taj Gadge won. It doesn't, but it sounds silly and fun, and I like to say it. So, fuck you.
That's fair.
Fuck you.
You need some type of joy when mentioning her name.
Yes. Well, I mean, I take joy in the fact that she is not going to be a green much longer, at least.
Jesus.
Like, okay, so regarding her divorce, I am absolutely of the opinion if you're in a relationship and it's not working, get out of the relationship. It's fine. Divorce is a good thing when people aren't, like, when the relationship doesn't work anymore, because like that happens sometimes. It's fine. Go for it. Get a divorce. The problem is that she runs on a platform of Christian nationalism. She's very vocally anti-LGBTQ, and she uses the Bible to justify all that stuff. The Bible says more against divorce than it does against being gay or against being trans. The Bible doesn't even mention being trans.
And I think as far as being gay, the only examples are like, there's once in Leviticus, there's twice, I want to say, in Romans.
I think there's once in Deuteronomy as well.
Is there?
I think so. But it's like Deuteronomy is basically a copy of Leviticus, but changed a little.
It's like it's a little more formally laws.
Yeah. And the Leviticus, no. It's twice in Leviticus. There's Leviticus 18:22 and Leviticus 21:12.
And the ones in Leviticus, biblical scholars have gone like against each other on whether or not it's actually talking about gay people.
Yeah, there's actually some good evidence to suggest that originally Leviticus, it's not whether or not it was about gay people. It was the anti-gay one was added by a later editor to make one of the other changes they made, or to make stuff make sense. So like the original author of Leviticus was fine with gay relationships, with the idea being that, like, and it's the uncover your nakedness part. Like there's a whole list of people who you're not allowed to uncover their nakedness. And it's all like family members and stuff like that. And then there's something about how like it specifies men that you're not supposed to uncover the nakedness of, and so they had to add in the bit about not sleeping with men generally in order, like, I forget how the argument goes. And yeah, there's something about the actual clause in the gloss that comes after it that changes a little to make it seem as if like the anti-gay stuff was added in by a later person because it's a different literary style.
Well, and the even if you were to take the even if you were to take that like everything in there was written and not changed later, the verbiage that's used can mean anything from pedastry to not utilizing someone else's bed when they haven't given you permission. The pedastry one is the one that I found more credible
You mean
because one of the
pederasty?
bit peder is it pederasty?
I think so.
Um,
Now you're making me Google words that are going to get me on a list. Yeah, pederasty.
okay, pederasty. Um, but considering that the language when it was translated to Greek came out as a man shall not lie with a male, and male was verbiage used to mean young boy, not
Yeah.
adult. And that was in some of the earlier translations. I mean, King James was based off of a what was it, 13th or 14th century Greek translation anyway, so most of that would fall back on that.
Oh, there's the King James translation was terrible. Like the guy that was translating it was rushing to be the first person to put an English translation of the Bible out.
Well, yeah,
because there was someone else that was working on one at the same time. So there were times when he was missing manuscripts, so he would like invent his own manuscript to translate from in order to get his book out on time because he couldn't wait for the actual manuscript to show up. Or like,
but yeah, because the other wasn't it the Lutherans I want to say that had the
I don't remember
the
who
other
the
one?
competition was.
Because I remember there was a whole thing about King James trying to get it out specifically because the other version also had because he commissioned it.
No, it's
but
and that's what makes me laugh about the King James only Christians. Be like, do you know how that book was translated? It's like that's the worst Bible translation.
It is a scatterbrained, rushed, and it annexes certain things that seemed like it would let because if this is based off stuff I read a couple years ago, I don't remember how solid it was, but apparently there was something else about like the other Bibles potentially saying something about it being good to usurp the king, something like that. And King James was like, nope, can't have any of that.
I don't recall that, but
it's that entire book is a ride. In terms of how it came to be.
It's also the translation that has unicorns and stuff in it. So then you get to these King James only Christians who are like, no, you need to take the book literally. And they'll have all these explanations about Leviathan being like Leviathan was like a crocodile or something, or no, it's dinosaurs. It's us that say it's a crocodile. Leviathan was a dinosaur and Behemoth was a dinosaur, and like, you know, the unicorn was clearly a rhinoceros. It's like, okay, dinosaur, yeah, sure. They didn't have the word for dinosaur back then because that wasn't coined till the 1800s. But they did have the word for rhinoceros. That goes back to the 1300s, and that book was translated in the 1600s. So why did they say unicorn if they meant rhinoceros?
Also, I just got the specifics on it. Sarah Chick-Reed in my chat was noting that King James issues were with the Geneva translators' notes. The translators' notes were considered anti-monarchical. The Geneva had a note that Asa's mother should have been executed, not deposed, for idolatry. Even the King James Version translators knew unicorn. That's for the second part. They knew unicorn could probably have been translated as rhinoceros. But yeah, no. Apparently, it was the translation notes for the other version that had stuff about anti-monarch shit. They were like, nope, can't have that. The good king must live.
So Senshini German Visitor says those were laws against gay incest and were changed to be against sex with the spouses of male relatives. So there wouldn't be the question of if gay sex is bad in general, why are there so specific laws? That's what I was trying to say. Is that like they listed all the gay male relatives that you're not allowed to sleep with, but they didn't say anything about non-relatives. And so the later editor added in the gloss things that like would make it more about like when you're uncovering your uncle's nakedness, they would like add a thing afterwards to be like, oh well, that's actually sleeping with your uncle's wife because she is his property. And so like that, and that was kind of seen as like, and then they added the thing about like just know being gay in general. And so that's where, like, the original author probably didn't think being gay was wrong necessarily. It's hard to say when you get to cultures that far back, because there definitely were cultures back then that didn't like gay people, but there were also cultures back then that were very accepting of them, and that's just another form of sexual expression. Oh, Jesus, cat. She just, like...
Good kitty.
She almost unplugged my microphone as she was trying to squeeze underneath the cable over there.
Aw. She is perfect.
Yeah, she's a good little kitty. Hello, kitty. Loud purrs.
Hashtag not sponsored by Hello Kitty.
No, not sponsored by Hello Kitty. Anyway, we've got 15 minutes of stream left, and we haven't even gotten to the third news item, much less the tweets.